Morning Drive, precious metals now, and, gold, silver, palladium, platinum, and all that stuff. Jeff Rhodes is the Managing Director for Business Development for the Middle East and Asia at Monetary Metals, back with me in the room. It is good to see you. I have to say, you look very well.
Thank you, Tim.
I don't mean that normally you're not, but you
I was going to say, I had the female approach to, what do you mean I look okay?
I wasn't casting aspersions in that way, but you have this kind of spring in your step today, as though something good's happened.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I was looking forward to three of us being here with my colleague Keith Weiner, who will be here next week. Keith is the CEO of Monetary Metals, and he's really the brains behind a business I think's probably game-changing globally. But Keith will tell you much more about that when he's with you next week.
Well, I was looking forward to meeting him, Jeff, I've got to say, because he's an interesting character. I was reading some of the articles on his... he's got a website, keithweinereconomics.com. So I was looking at that, and he writes blogs, but it's funny. A lot of people say, you got to read my blog. And I think, God, nothing I want to do less than read your blog. But his blogs, they're really engaging.
He's really good.
He's obviously has a very technically capable approach, but it doesn't come across that way in the blogs. It's very readable.
It's really interesting. When I first met Keith, it was probably three years ago or so, and I was moderating a panel session at the Dubai Precious Metals Conference that year,
right.
And Keith had said to me, any chance of getting on your panel? I said, no, it's a bit late. I said, but why don't you ask questions from the floor? Because when I'm moderating a panel, it's more like a game show. I like to be a game show host, and everyone participating,
right.
And not leaving them 1 minute at the end to ask questions. But I always invite audience participation. So I said to Keith, why don't you just ask questions from the floor? And he did. And he was quite amazing. I was fascinated by this guy in the audience. And I insisted with the organisers that the following year, Keith would actually be on my panel.
Right.
And indeed he was. And, since then, we've become quite close because I have a high respect for his knowledge of not just generally of economics, but his knowledge of economics as they, as they involve the gold market, and not just gold, silver, platinum, more gold and silver with Keith, because monetary metals, the two monetary metals in the world are gold and silver. So anyway, as I say, much more to hear from Keith next week. I'll come along and I'll be fascinated to listen to him as well. I always am.
He's a very interesting guy. President of the Gold Standard Institute in the US. He's a PhD. He's an entrepreneur. He's founded companies, sold companies. It's a lot to talk about. I look forward to it. So look, at the moment, you came up with a phrase just now, and it reminds me of a song from the 90s. And I think it sums up precious metals at the moment. Deeply dippy.
Yeah.
What's going on, Jeff Rhodes?
It is. Look, we have had gold stuck between really 4,600 and 4,900, for as long as I can remember, but certainly for the last 3-4 weeks. Hasn't gone anywhere. We've been saying that a break will come. Now, the way things are dragging on with the conflict in the Gulf, even that, in terms of the bullion market globally, is a bit tired. It's an old story. Obviously, crucially important to the world, but gold just can't stay where it is for much longer. So I had a quick look at the charts this morning, and I actually was a bit shocked. I could see gold on the cusp of a downside crossover. I always talk about the MACD.
You do, yeah.
Yeah, not the breakfast, but the moving average and convergence.
I love how you think of MACD as breakfast.
Moving average and convergence, okay.
Right.
And moving average convergence and divergence. And it's poised to flag a sell signal. That's when there are two moving averages. I think it's 12-day and 26-day moving average. And when the shorter date goes down or up through the longer date gives you a buy or sell signal.
Okay.
And it's very accurate. Over the years, it's been very accurate. But it's poised to give a sell signal. And that sell signal would take us to about 4,350. On the chart, that's the number. So if we had a weekday today, the sell signal would be triggered, and then we can expect maybe another $300 or so on the downside.
Well, it's looking that way at the moment because I'm just looking at the course of the week. I check gold once a day, every day during the week.
As you should.
As absolutely as I should, because I'm a good boy and I do what I'm told.
Thank you.
But Monday, I looked at 11 in the morning, 4,000, just shy of 4,800. Tuesday, a little bit later, midday. Again, just shy of 4,800, pretty much. But then it starts dropping ever so slightly. Wednesday morning, 10:40, 4765. Thursday morning, 12:30, 4718. This morning, I looked quite early, just after 8, 4,670. So the signs are there.
And it's all linked. It's linked to crude oil.
Yes.
And obviously that's linked to the conflict in the Gulf. But it is this, the fact that oil is staying higher for longer is definitely making the threat of interest rate hikes may be a reality. You know, we've been ignoring the fact that typically if you really want to control inflation, you do it through interest rates. You raise interest rates. But we know, of course, that the policy of this particular government in the US is to lower interest rates. Certainly that's President Trump's policy. Yep. And so we've had this standoff, but the longer it goes on with oil prices elevated, the more likely we are to have fairly permanent inflation. Higher inflation means higher interest rates, means lower gold prices. And that feeling is gradually taking hold in the market. But there's been no real catalyst to make it go either up or down. But a chart, a crossover on the charts, a strong signal from the charts could actually end up with a lower gold price. And yeah, it looks as though it's going to happen. I looked at silver, it's the same story. Platinum, the same story. And palladium, all four of them are poised to flag sell signals. If that happens, you could see some fun and games today, particularly if there's like saber rattling between the two sides in the Gulf. And yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see a really tough day today for global precious metals.
The worry is, isn't it, that this kind of ceasefire plus blockade,
Yeah.
the worry is whether it becomes a status quo for a while.
Yeah, that's a feeling. And I think that's almost what global markets are telling us.
Yeah.
Certainly gold coming off, oil prices up. It's telling us that this could go on for longer than anyone would want. So I really, as ever, hope that over the weekend we have some good news, good positive news, and good news for the world in terms of the conflict in the Gulf would be good news for gold. So I think we need to keep an eye on what's going on in this part of the world, and hopefully we'll have a resolution. And with that resolution, you will see a rally across all four precious metals. But first, you may have this technically driven dip in price. That's why I'm saying it's a deeply dippy scenario. And if it does happen, I think then, Tim, it's a chance to come in and buy. Because I do think a technical sell-off could give you an opportunity to have a longer-term investment strategy.
Let me ask you a little bit about interest rates, because as you know, good boy that I am, I read your reports. I haven't read today's report, you've just sent it, but I will later. Reuters poll, and you mentioned this on, is it Wednesday, Tuesday or Wednesday? I can't remember. US Federal Reserve are going to wait at least 6 months before cutting interest rates this year as war-driven energy shocks reignite an already elevated inflation. The Fed Reserve Chief nominee, Kevin Morse, lots happening, lots to talk about here, said on Tuesday he'd made no promises to the president about cutting interest rates. He's trying to reassure senators that, he's going to be independent, of course. Put all this together, what's the Jeff Rhodes synopsis?
Yeah, I believe that he is a good guy. The new Fed chairman is a good guy, and he does have his own mind.
Yep.
And he would only make a change in interest rates in the US if the economy supported it. Now, if you have, I mean, one of the major drivers of inflation is energy costs. And unfortunately, the more we have of what's going on at the moment, the longer it lasts, the more impact it will have on longer term inflation aspects. And so, yeah, look, if we have rising inflation caused by energy, even if there is a policy from government in the US that we'd like to see lower interest rates, it may be that they have to calm everything down, they may have to raise interest rates. And that wouldn't be good. It really wouldn't be good. So my takeaway is a score draw, really. Honestly, I think there's enough going on to stop rates being cut, but also, I think you have to be careful in terms of inflation. So, yeah, I think a score draw. And I think I would be surprised if there was any change in interest rates this year. I think it would be much better to leave rates alone and focus on other policy. And I think that in fact would be okay for gold, because then there would be a certain amount of stability. But at the end of the day, if you're getting more return on your dollars because interest rates are going up, you're not going to have so much to put into gold. So, but at the end of the day, I think, as I say, the best analogy is score draw. Could well see gold 4,300, 4,100. We saw that earlier this year. But eventually, I do think that we will recover from what's going on at the moment. And as soon as we do, gold will hit the high levels. And those high levels remain 6,500.
Well,
don't back off of that. I still think silver 150. Gold, 6,500. Platinum, 3,500. I think it's only a matter of time before we see big inflows, but we may have to wait a little bit longer than I would have cared for.
Yeah, okay. I mean, it's so uncertain at the moment, isn't it? We just don't know.
That's why you have to go with the charts.
Yeah,
because
exactly
the
right.
charts don't lie.
Yeah.
If the charts are saying sell, then you should sell, but have a target where you're going to buy back. Fundamentally, I'm bullish for all four precious metals, and at some point we'll have this reversal. This can't last forever. What's going on at the moment can't last forever, and I think the way Dubai is bouncing is incredible. I drove on Wednesday to Dubai from Ras Al Khaimah, and I was shocked at the traffic. I was really, really shocked.
It's such a benchmark, isn't it?
Oh, it is. I thought, oh no, because so what happened this week? The kids went back to school.
Exactly right.
Okay. What does that mean? Well, then the parents have to go back to work. They haven't got the excuse, I've got to stay at home and look after Johnny. And I had to go back to work. So everyone's back at work, and they're back at work. I'm staying in a hotel not far from here at the moment, and I can see just by breakfast, there are a lot more people at breakfast today than it was last week. So I think it's amazing the way Dubai is bouncing back.
We're using a word. I don't think it's really a word, but it should be a word. It's bounce back ability.
Oh, that's a great word.
Which is a great word.
And there's more of that in Dubai, in the UAE, than anywhere else in the world.
It's funny, actually. It's very easy to sort of think that that's a bit trite to say, that we sit here and we talk about that, and the assumption is, you've been paid so that you're just talking up the party line. Being positive, yes.
Yeah.
But the simple fact is, it's true.
It is true. And the number of times I've been asked, so when are you going back to the UK? I will go back to the UK because my family are there, and I like to go during the summer. So it's business as usual. I'll be going back in June, probably June through to a little bit into July. That would be good, because there's nowhere like the City of London in the summer.
Do you know what? You're right. In the summer, London is a special place.
Yeah, absolutely.
In the winter, not so special.
Not for me, no. I tend to, I suffer from asthma, but particularly, dust, mites, and so on and so forth. And so during the winter, it's difficult for me. So I like to spend I'm allowed 90 days. So I like to spend my 90 days with the family. But in the summer, I just love it, really. And the City of London, particularly in the summer, is great.
I mean, that's your old stomping ground, though, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Do you go back and walk down the streets of EC1, or where were you based for the early days of your?
Well, for me, I was in right in the centre of London.
Oh, you were? Okay.
Yeah, I was along Old Broad Street, if you know Old Broad Street. Okay. So I worked at Samuel Montague. We had our vaults. We were 110 to 114 Old Broad Street. Our vaults were underneath where we worked, and they were some of the best and biggest vaults in London. So, we were one of the 5 members of the London Gold Fixing.
How long is since you've been there? How long since you've been back there?
Oh, no, I go back all the time.
Do you?
I do, yeah. And, the city has actually got some fantastic restaurants, which we go to. So, yeah, I love going back. But it is the summertime that is really good. So, I think London, New York, Dubai, Singapore, yeah, these places are iconic places in terms of the global gold industry.
And stuff gets done, doesn't it?
It gets done.
Happen. Yeah, that's
absolutely.
Right. There's an indefinable kind of energy in a major city, and I don't quite know what it is. It's a nervous energy.
Yeah,
there's always an edge.
In terms of the London bullion market, that goes back really to the 1850s, 1860s. When gold was found to be in Australia, in South Africa, and in America at the same time. Yeah. And the gold fields of the New World needed to be financed to grow them. The finance came from London. And the finance was repaid by gold being produced in each of those 3 areas that came back and was delivered into London to repay gold loans. And so the whole history of bullion banking dates back to then. Now, one of the banks I've worked for here was Standard Bank of South Africa, that was founded in the mid-1860s. And actually, 150th anniversary, they wrote a fantastic book. And Standard Bank in Dubai is part of that. It's part of their history. So, but 150 years ago, 160 years ago now, when Standard Bank was established, it was part of this whole move in the gold sector. So there's a real history to London and gold, and probably is a reason why I was attracted to this market in the first place.
Well, it is.
I don't know, maybe it was just purely luck, right?
Could be, or could be that things happen for a reason. I don't have the answer to that. I think about that quite a lot. When's the book coming out? Because your whole life is woven into the fabric of the gold.
Yeah,
the gold cloth.
I'm too busy living life at the moment, Tim, rather than writing about it.
No memoirs.
No memoirs. No.
I'll tell you what. I'd ghostwrite it if you want. We could work something out.
There could be a deal there.
Yeah, possibly. Do you know what's interesting is talking to you about. Just talking to you generally about gold is always interesting, but when we get off topic the way we have today, it reminds me that there's not a great deal going on. It tells me that something is going to happen, and hopefully we're going to see that today.
Yeah, look, I think so. Well, we have had gold in a trading range that is the most narrow trading range for many a month. And so something has to give. It just won't stay here forever. There's not a new gold standard of 4,750. So something's going to happen. I fancy we'll have this technical sell-off followed by a major rally.
see what happens over the weekend. We'll be talking to you next week, Jeff, but as ever, it's a great pleasure to have you here. Jeff Rhodes is MD, Business Development, Middle East and Asia, Monetary Metals.
Super.
Got it right. Thanks. This is Mirror Business FM.